Have you ever been in a relationship where you stayed in for a lot longer than you should have? Or maybe you're in one right now and it feels impossible to leave. Like every time you try to go, you always somehow get sucked back in. Like a roller coaster that never ends. You always go up, then you always go down, back and forth. And you know in your heart that eventually this ride has to end because it's not healthy. You're not happy, they're not happy, and you find yourself getting more miserable as you allow yourself to fall into these patterns over and over and over again. I know what it's like. Hold on, another sip. Some nice red wine. But anyways, you know what's worse? When you catch yourself getting back with that person and see yourself trying to justify all their red flags and wrongdoings, hoping that everything's going to change, in the future for the millionth time. And despite all this pain and toxicity, you still love them. But the real question is, do you love them for them? Or do you love them for who you think they can be? Loving someone for who they are and loving someone for who they can be are two completely different things. From my experience and my understanding is one can lead to a great future and the other one will lead to great disappointment. I'm moving on from a breakup right now. So I'm creating this video as a letter to myself, a reminder if you say, and perhaps some lessons for anyone who's on the same boat. I'm going to share 4 important ideas that's been helping me through this storm. And I believe they can help you too. But before we talk about the end, let's rewind it back to the beginning, right? You first meet them, you go on a few dates, and these dates eventually turn into a relationship. You hold each other's hands, you hug, you kiss, you say, I love you for the first time. You get butterflies to see each other when you receive a message from one another, or, when you just see each other just in general. You go on more dates, and we all know this is called the honeymoon phase, right? You know what I'm talking about. Fast forward, many months later, you both decide to move in together since you are both together all the time. They're always at your place or you're always at their place. And after moving in together, you both get into your first argument with each other. Whether it was big or it was small, you both threw it under the rug. And maybe you discovered it, as a red flag or discovered a red flag. However, you both brush it off since you two are already, this deep. And as time passes by, the honeymoon stage passes and you are now in the maintenance phase, right? And maybe the butterflies aren't there anymore either. Maybe more arguments arise. Maybe you begin and start questioning the person that you're dating now and question if they're the same person that you first met. After all, we try to show our best selves when we meet somebody that we like for the first time, right? So then you both get more comfortable, and before you know it, arguments become more frequent and more red flags start to appear. It's been over a year now. Maybe it's, been more, but you both start having less and less patience with each other. Maybe even less respect. But the level of resentment? You finally get into your biggest fight yet, and you go back to your room to recollect. Only to discover underneath that rug, are all the red flags that you've shoved away over the years, or signs that hey, this might not work, And then you come to a realization that this might not be it. Finally, after all that. However, the next day, you regroup with your partner and everything's all fine and dandy. You justify your partner for all their actions, the things that they said last night, perhaps even the week before. You move on 1 month later, and perhaps, sooner, it happens again. And you realize that nothing's changed. But the next day, again, you regroup and you justify all over again. It's like a never-ending roller coaster. Are you catching the pattern yet? Because I'm pretty sure you know how the song repeats itself. And this is what I like to call the toxic hurricane. The only thing that is, that truly never leaves, And whether you allow yourself to hang around or leave early on, you know where you're at. If you chose to stick around, you might feel more dumb each time. I can relate. Now, why did I share this illustration, this visual, or this story to you? Simply to show you that if nothing changes, the same result will happen over and over and over and over again. I'm sure you're tired of it. And maybe you both did a lot of personal development. You read some books about relationships. You know what your love languages are. You went to therapy. You sat down and brainstormed together, and it's still not progressing. You both did what you both knew to your best abilities. Want to know why most people hold on to things even though they know deep down in their hearts that this relationship or this marriage won't work? Let me share with you something called the sunk cost fallacy, right? Anybody who's an investor will understand this, but the sunk cost fallacy typically is the economic concept, right? Revolving around the tendency for humans to continue to invest in something that they already invested, a lot of time or money in. The longer someone has been on an investment, the more time and energy they put into it, the more likely they will, continue the investment no matter how poorly the investment is performing, okay? This is a sunk cost fallacy. But let's tie it into relationships because it's the same thing. Sunk cost fallacy can find its way into a relationship, particularly long-term relationships, ones that's already ran its course. When couples need or want to break up, the thought of leaving behind, the time, the effort, the money, and energy that they spent on building a life together can cause them to doubt their decision. And oftentimes it can cause couples to double down and invest more time, more effort in trying to make it work, even when it's unhealthy or, they are truly incompatible. At least the most fullest, transparent versions of themselves. And the fear of being wrong and ending alone or ending up alone forces most people to settle and be stuck in these types of situations. And, the sunk cost fallacy can involve many pieces in a relationship. The biggest one I hear all the time is obviously time. Many couples will stay together despite the toxicity purely based on the time that they've already invested into each other. There's other pieces kids, friends, assets, memories, a whole lot of things. And listen, I just want to say it very clearly, I'm not telling you to be a quitter. I'm telling you that once you've tried your very best, and so have they, and you've used every resource that you have available to restore this relationship and whatever love that you guys had left, and nothing is still progressing, it's time to say peace. Because I promise you, love shouldn't be that hard. At least in my world. This person was just a lesson to you. And you were a lesson to them. And you both can't start the next chapters of your life unless you both close this one off. Anyways, I'm sure you guys get the picture. Why don't I now share with you the 4 biggest ideas that's been helping me through this transition. And perhaps it can help you too. Maybe not, maybe it will. But I share this because I simply wish somebody had told me these ideas sooner. Right after I got into it. So let's jump right in. Sip of wine. The first idea is you got to take care of logic over emotion. We all know that if we don't control our emotions, we can do pretty stupid things, right? Making decisions based on emotions alone have made people lose money, relationships, jobs, and much more. I want you to think right now about a decision that you've made in the past, purely on decision. Did it turn out well? I'm sure you can think of a couple where if you just had more patience and applied logic, you wouldn't have done it. Am I right? I could be wrong. I don't know. Hopefully I'm right. But emotion over logic. I'll use my relationship as an example for everyone. Logically, based on the experiences and data that I have collected over the past many years, I know that this relationship has no chance in the future. Our lives are different now, and they're going in different directions. Therefore, we also have a bit of different values too that aren't compatible with each other. And to force it, it's like trying to mix water and oil. It will just get messy. So I know in my heart, it's the right decision. However, emotionally, my life has just been so intertwined with this person that it feels impossible to, let them loose. Emotionally, to not see, it emotionally feels impossible to see my life without this person, emotionally. I'd have to untangle years of time and memories and investments, other investments, And let me tell you, man, in these scenarios, you have to listen to your brain over your heart. You may disagree with me here, but you have to anchor in the logic over the emotion. Logic doesn't lie, but emotions can. And the emotion is so powerful that it's overwhelming, but sometimes you just have to take your losses in life and move the fuck on. Don't be a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. Know when to fold and know when you're at a dead end. Idea number 2. We only have one life. I've been very honored to speak with hundreds of people last year around breakups and divorces. And whether people were together for less than a year or for multiple decades, I've heard the same patterns over and over and over again. When that separation finally happens, you know what they all tell me? I wish I would have done it sooner. Listen, we're all gonna die someday. Do you want to spend an extra 20, 30 years with the wrong person? Or do you want to cut your losses and free up space for somebody that'll enjoy, the remainder of your life and time on this earth with you? Time's ticking, my friends. It is something that you will never get back. Nothing hurts more than regret. Listen, I am an advocate for trying and putting an effort to make things work. To get creative and find solutions for every problem. But if you both truly tried everything to the best of your abilities, then perhaps it's time to let it go. If it's not progressing, it's not working, same problems are repeating itself. To let it go with love and peace. To say, I love you, I honor you, but I don't believe this will work anymore for the both of us. So for the highest good of all, I must cut our spiritual ties and contracts so that way we can be free and free up space for something even greater to come. Now, obviously, this is much easier said than done. However, you have to think about both of your futures and move on with grace. Idea number 3. A compelling vision of the future. Here's what I mean by this. I once heard a great saying by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it goes like this. If you are not defined by the vision of the future, you are left with the memories of the past. Most people cannot move on because they have no path to a greater future. Therefore, they're connected and tied to the past. Also meaning that you have to create a future, build one, envision one that can outcast the shadows of the past. Outshine the shadows of the past. We cannot move on, if the visions of the past are greater than the visions of the future. Do you want to get out of your sticky situation? Okay, then you have to write down what you want your future to look like. What does that partner look like? What does it look like without partner? Think in terms of health, wealth, and relationships. Think of the person that you want to become and how you want to feel. Most importantly, how you want to feel. Because the current version of you right now, yes, you right now, is the person who created this entire mess in the first place. Meaning the person that created this mess can't get you out of this mess. Common sense isn't so common no more. Only someone of a higher vibration can do that. And you must design them and then become them. We don't attract what we want in life, my friends. We attract who we are. Hope this makes sense. Rewind and listen to it again if you have to. Idea number 4. Keep your faith in a higher power. If you're religious or spiritual, keep your heart aligned with God, right? The universe, or whoever you believe in. If you're atheist, then I suggest being open to the thought that everything happens for a reason. If you're on this channel, you're most likely not an atheist anyways, but understand that things don't happen to you, but only happen for you. The world is a very benevolent place, especially to people who believe in it. And my connection with the higher power is one of my greatest strengths to overcoming this transition, this breakup. And I feel, whenever I feel down or my emotions have the best of me and I feel anxious, I just turn my attention back to God and the source. Remember that good things fall apart, so better things can fall in place. Our egos will always scream at us, but don't forget, our soul will always whisper. And you have to pay attention to all that until it is all that you hear. To summarize, the first idea, obviously, you have to anchor into logic. Don't fall for the emotions. Logic doesn't lie. Remember that we only have one life. Third piece is create a compelling vision of the future. And the fourth is keep your faith in a higher power. If this video has been helpful to you at all, hit the thumbs up like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on the future content. Also, comment down below what your journey has been like. Very curious to know, and how you're looking forward to the future and to actually becoming the better and best version of yourself after this. If you're going through a lot of stress and anxiety right now, I also have an incredible 15-minute guided meditation for letting go of stress, everything, and that I created, by the way, absolutely for free. I'll link it right here. You can try it. It's going to be amazing for you. And just want to say I love you. You're going to make it. So will I. And things are only going to get better from here. But only if you allow it to. And one last thing before I say bye is that your biggest breakthroughs always come after your biggest breakdowns. Love you guys. Peace.